Dear friends, welcome to the next session for software engineering and designing concepts. So in today's session, we will be looking at class diagrams. So let us get started. So before we go deeper into a class diagram, we should understand first that what is a class. Basically, a class is a blueprint that is used to create the object, and it defines what the object can do. So in software engineering, a class diagram basically is a type of static structure diagram in UML which describes the structure of the system by showing the system's classes, their attributes, operations or methods, and the relationships among the objects. So in a system, there are different types of real-time entities or real-life objects or real-life entities, and these entities are represented in a particular class or in a particular container. So this class or a container which will represent the real life entities is basically known as a class, and the diagram which will be representing the various attributes of that particular class, objects, and different types of operations which the objects or that class can perform, and the relationship among these objects are basically your class diagram. So the benefits of class diagram lies in representation of data models for very complex information system, and it provides an overview of how the application is structured before studying the actual code. This can reduce the maintenance time. So maintenance time is that time which is related in order to add new things or modify the existing code or maintain or check out for if there are any type of bugs associated in addition of the new code. So if we know the structure of the system from earlier, then it gives us an upper hand in order to reduce the identification time of the various bugs or addition of new codes into the existing system. It also helps for better understanding of general schematics of the application, because if we know the general structure, it becomes easier for us to understand what would be the schema of that particular structure. Moreover, it allows drawing details charts which highlights code required to be programmed, which means a class diagram will be representing the various functions which or methods which that particular class is capable of performing, and it gives it provides an assistance for the developers to write the code accordingly. Hence it is helpful for the developers and other stakeholders. So developers, because they can code well and develop it easily, and stakeholders because of the view or understandability of that particular system. So we have to understand that before we actually go ahead with the behavioral concept or how your system should behave, we should understand that what should be the composition of that system. So the essential elements of a UML class diagram is basically a class name, the attributes, and the class operations. Generally, a class is represented using a box or a rectangle, and it is divided into three different parts. The first part is basically your class name, the second part is the class attributes, and the third part is the class operations. So class name is basically the name of the class, and it should have a meaningful name. The second is basically the class attributes, and these attributes are generally shown after a colon. So we have an attribute name and we have to give a colon. Then class operations, so these are basically functions, so we have to show them in the form of a method, and the return type of a method is shown after the colon at the end of the method signature. So we can keep a return type as well, where we will be writing it after the colon. So these are representation that we should not forget before we go ahead with a class diagram. So this is just a basic example of how a class should look like. So it is represented using a rectangle with 3 different partitions. The first part, as already mentioned, it contains the name of the class. The middle part contains the class attributes. After colon, we have to also define the data type of these attributes, and the bottom partition will be showing the various methods which are associated with the functionality of the class. So there are certain rules when we represent this. The class name should always be a capital letter and should be at the center of the first compartment. Moreover, it should be in bold format. Apart from this, if we are very much keen on representing a very specific class, we should have a meaningful name associated with that particular class. Simply random names will not suffice. So they should be capital, in the first letter should be capital, it should be in the center, and it should be in bold format. Abstract classes name should be written in italics format. So abstract classes are those classes in which we do not instantiate the attributes or the objects which are there in the class, neither we represent the methodologies or the methods. So we simply write the name of the abstract class in italics. So attributes are generally written along with a visibility factor. That means who can basically have a look at those attributes of the class. So basically we have 3 or 4 different types of visibility factors: public, private, protected, and package. So what is the accessibility of that attribute is represented by these 4 symbols: plus for public, minus for private, hash for protected, and tilde sign for package. So if we look at the previous example, if you see, these are the 4 attributes, and suppose we want to keep the account type to be a public type of attribute. So other classes can have a look at the account type. However, account name should be private. Date released, let's say it should be a protected type. Only the associated or directly connected classes could have access to this attribute. And maybe again loan amount should be of private type. So all these access or visibility factors should be associated with the attributes when you represent these attributes. So this will give a stronger representation in terms of the accessibility of that particular class. The attributes must have a meaningful name that describes the use of it in a class. Now, simply having an attribute like ABC or let's say PQR will not help. We have to keep a meaningful name associated with that attribute. Now, since there are several classes in a, let's say there are several classes in a particular system, so all these classes, though they will exist independently, they also needs to be interconnected between them so that they are accessed and utilized in a proper way. So it might be so that one class is not connected with the other class while the other class is connected to all other classes. So we have to identify as to what type of relationship the classes have within each other. We have to understand that this relationship is purely logical in nature. So if we are talking about a hospital management system, so in a hospital management system there are several factors like the departments, the doctors, the nurses, and probably the admin as well. So these are different classes which forms the structure of the hospital management system. However, connection between them is equally important for successful implementation of the hospital management system. Now, this connection cannot be any physical connections between these 4 stakeholders or 4 classes which forms the structure. They should be strictly logical. So In particular, the relationships in class diagrams include different types of logical connections, and they are represented using inheritance, simple association, aggregation, composition, and dependency. So when we look at inheritance, basically it is a type of is a relationship, which means that it is a type of a relationship. So an abstract class name is always shown in italics in inheritance, whereas the normal classes we will be following the general rule. Now subclass 1 and subclass 2 are specializations of the superclass. So let us consider bank account to be a superclass, and this is our subclass 1. And let's say we have another account which is subclass 2. So these are basically the specialized accounts or specialized classes. A solid line with a hollow arrowhead that points from child to parent or vice versa can be represented. So both the representations are correct, where you may either point an arrow from the child class to the parent class or from the parent class to the child class. But we have to understand that the arrowhead should be strictly hollow in nature. So this is inheritance, where most of the attributes will be inherited by the subclasses from the superclass. Next we have association. So these are between a structural link between two different peer classes, and there is association between class 1 and class 2. So both of them are peers and both of them are connected. So we call it as an association, and it is represented using a solid line. Next we have aggregation. Now aggregation is a special type of association, and it is a type of a part of relationship. So inheritance is a type of relationship. Aggregation is part of relationship. So class 2 is a part of class 1. So let us say class 1 is library and class 2 is books. So class 2 is a part of class 1, and if there are many instances of such class 2 which are basically parts of class 1, then we represent it using a star. So this is basically meaning one or many. So a library can have one book or it can have many books. So books or one book can be a part of the library, or many books can be a part of the library. So this is denoted using the star. So objects of class 1 and class 2, they both of them have separate lifetimes. For example, the lifetimes of book is comparatively lesser in comparison to the lifetime of the library, because if one book is missing from the library, it does not mean that the library will collapse or library will not exist. Now a solid line with an unfilled diamond at the association end connected to the class of composite. So we call the library to be a composite, and we represent using this hollow diamond and a straight line from the class which is basically forming an aggregation with the class of the composite, which is the library. So next we have the composition. So this is basically a stronger type of an aggregation, or a special type of aggregation where parts are destroyed when the whole is destroyed. Now objects of class 2, so we call this as class 1 and class 2. So objects of class 2 live and die with class 1. Now suppose class 1 is no longer there, so the books will not exist individually as a part of the library. So a solid line with filled diamond at the association connected to the class of the composite. The only difference is this is filled, and in association, in aggregation, it was a hollow type of an arrow. But we have to understand that in composition, if one does not exist, if the composite does not exist, the parts also does not exist. And in aggregation, we have to understand that if the parts does not exist, the aggregation will continue to exist. So these are the relationships. One special type of relationship that we represent using class diagram is dependency, and it exists between two classes if the changes to the definition of one may cause changes to the other. For example, student and college. Now, if the college undergoes some changes, the student will definitely be reflected with that particular change. So, this class 1 is dependent on class 2. So, whatever, if there are any changes with class 2, there will be some change with class 1. Hence, class 1 is dependent on class 2. We show with a dashed line with an open arrow whichever class is dependent on whichever class. So, these relationships are very, very important from the perspective of representation. So, another important concept is multiplicity, which means how many objects of each class can take part in the relationship, and the multiplicity can be represented as only one, 0 or 1, 0 or many, or one or more, or many. So suppose there are two classes which are connected to each other via simple association. So let's say this is class 1, class 2. Class 1 can be class 1 can have just one instance which is associated with either one instance of class 2 or 0 instance of class 2, 0 to 1, either 0 or 1 instance of class 2. That means class 1 can be associated with class 2 or cannot be associated with class 2, or it can be associated with not only one but many instances of class 2, or it can be associated with one or many instances of class 2. This means that either it can be no association or simply one association. This can be either no association or many association. This can be either one association or many association. So in this case there has to be one association, but in the previous two cases, even if it is not associated, it is okay. So exact number example 3 or 4 or 6. So for star we can represent as 3 or 4, whatever we want to represent, we can represent it. So basically we have to understand that we have to represent the number of instances or the number of objects which can be a part of that particular association in terms of multiplicity. So this is a typical example of an ATM. So here we have represented the different classes, which is basically a bank, an ATM, teller is an ATM, the customer, account, and the account is having two different specialized accounts, which is checking and savings. So bank, here we are not representing the functions here because there are a lot of functions involved, but let's look at this. So the name is represented at the center. We have the access specifiers, which is basically public, that is ID and name, and we also have the methods which are associated with the visibility factors, and we are also showing the various types of associations and the multiplicity associated with each of it. That means between customer and teller, it shows that one or more customer can access one or more ATM machines at one particular instance. So that is important. So these are the representations. So bank is connected with customer, bank is connected with ATM, then customer has account, customer also can have a loan, and the account can be of a checking type of an account or savings type of an account. So all this is represented within this scenario. If you look at closely into this, we will understand that all of them are showing different types of notations which are needed in order to represent this particular system. So this is all about class diagrams. Class diagrams are very, very important from the perspective to understand the structure of a system. If we do not understand the structure of the system, we will never be able to identify how the system would behave. So that is all for today. Thank you.